Hollywood has lost a big star. Val Kilmer, the famous actor loved for his amazing roles in Top Gun, Batman Forever, and The Doors, has sadly died at the age of 65. Fans and other celebrities are really upset, sharing emotional messages as the world feels the pain of losing a true movie hero. But what happened in his last moments? How is his family dealing with this sad loss? And what will people remember about him? Stick with us as we tell the full story of Val Kilmer's life, his work, and the tearful goodbye that has Hollywood crying. Val Kilmer was more than just an actor. He was a big part of Hollywood's best days, a guy who brought energy, charm, and real skill to every character he played. From flying planes in Top Gun to wearing the famous Batman cape, Kilmer's career lasted many years, leaving behind a story that won't be forgotten. But today, Hollywood feels quiet. The news of his death at 65 has shaken up the movie world, and everyone else too. Fans are super sad, his co-workers are grieving, and his family is trying to handle a huge loss. People from all over are sending tributes, sweet messages from other actors, kind words from loved ones, and big goodbyes from millions who grew up watching him on TV. But how did this happen? What were his last days like? And how is the world saying thank you to the man who gave us some of the best movie moments ever? In this video, we'll look closely at Val Kilmer's amazing life, how he became a star, the tough times he went through, and the emotional messages filling up social media. Stay with us until the end as we share the whole story of a Hollywood star's final goodbye. Val Kilmer wasn't just any Hollywood guy. He was a powerful person, someone whose acting grabbed people's attention for years. From playing the bold pilot Iceman in Top Gun to putting on Batman's cape, Kilmer made a career full of moments people can't forget. But away from the cameras, his life was up and down, with wins and hard fights. His death at 65 has left Hollywood and fans all over the world really sad. Social media is full of posts from celebrities, movie makers, and fans who've loved him forever, all saying thanks to the guy who made so many famous characters come alive. But what really happened? What were his last days like? And how is his family doing with this big loss? In today's video, we'll dig into Val Kilmer's story, his health problems in recent years, the messages coming from Hollywood's biggest names, and the emotional goodbye from his family. Stay with us as we celebrate the life of a man who made a huge mark on movies and in the hearts of millions. Before we talk about the sad details of his death, it's important to remember who Val Kilmer was and why his passing hurts so much. This isn't just losing another actor, it's like the end of a special time. Kilmer's career went on for over 40 years, and during that time, he became one of Hollywood's most well-known and talented stars. He had a way of really becoming the characters he played, which made directors love him, and movie fans see him as a legend. He wasn't just acting, he was changing into someone else. He had a special energy, a charm that you don't see often. One of his first big hits came in 1986 when he acted with Tom Cruise in Top Gun. His part as the confident, sometimes cocky but super skilled pilot Tom "Iceman" Kazansky made him a star right away. The way he and Cruise worked together on screen was exciting, and their rivalry that turned into friendship is still one of the best parts of any movie. After that, Kilmer's career took off. He showed he was more than just a good-looking action guy. He picked roles that tested him, ones that needed deep feelings and strength. His role as Jim Morrison in The Doors in 1991 is still one of the best real-life character performances ever. He didn't just act like Morrison, he turned into him. Kilmer worked really hard to get the part right, even training his voice to sound just like the famous rock star who'd passed away. Then came Batman Forever in 1995, a role that put him with Hollywood's top people. After Michael Keaton's famous Batman, Kilmer had a tough job as Bruce Wayne, and he did it in his own cool way. Even though the movie got mixed reviews, people loved how Kilmer played it. He showed both the quiet rich guy and the hero fighting crime. But Kilmer didn't stick to one kind of role. He kept showing he could do lots of things in movies like Heat in 1995, where he acted with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, The Saint in 1997, and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005, a movie that let him mix funny stuff so well that people sometimes forgot he was acting. He put everything into his work. He lived the characters he played, often pushing himself as far as he could go. But, as we all know, life in Hollywood isn't always shiny. While Kilmer was doing great on screen, behind the scenes, he was fighting battles not many people knew about. His health troubles, personal problems, and the sad truth of his last years. This is where the story gets really sad. While the world loved Val Kilmer for his talent and hard work, not many knew the pain he was going through off camera. The bright lights often hide the personal struggles of the people standing under them. For Kilmer, being famous and rich came with a cost, and in his later years, that cost got really heavy. For a lot of his career, Kilmer was known as a private guy who didn't follow everyone else. He picked his roles carefully, sometimes arguing with directors about how things should be done. Even though some people in Hollywood said he was hard to work with, no one could deny how much he cared about his acting. But his real fight wasn't with the movie world, it was with his own body. The big change came in 2015. People started talking about Kilmer's health. The lively actor who used to own the screen started looking thinner and weaker. His voice, once strong and full of life, began to get quiet. Worried fans wondered what was going on, but Kilmer didn't say much until the truth couldn't stay hidden anymore. It came out that Kilmer had throat cancer, a terrible sickness that attacked the thing he'd built his career on: his voice. For an actor, for someone who lived through his roles, losing his voice was like losing who he was. The news hit him hard, but Kilmer, always a fighter, didn't let it take over his life. Unlike lots of famous people who share their struggles, Kilmer first said he wasn't sick. He blamed his big weight loss on other health stuff and didn't talk about cancer at all. Some thought he didn't want to because of his strong Christian Science beliefs, which focus on healing with prayer instead of medicine. But as he got sicker, it was clear he needed help. Kilmer ended up having a tracheotomy, a surgery that saved his life but hurt his voice forever. Talking became tough. His loud, strong voice turned raspy and soft, a sad difference from the big performances he'd given all his career. Even with all the hard stuff, Kilmer never gave up his spirit. He relied on his faith, his family, and his love for telling stories. He started writing and put out a book called I'm Your Huckleberry, where he shared about his life, his work, and his fights. It was a special, close look into the mind of a guy who'd had amazing highs and awful lows. Then, in 2021, something awesome happened. Kilmer came back to the movies, with the long-awaited Top Gun, Maverick, coming up. Fans wondered if he'd play Iceman again. With his health so bad it seemed impossible. But somehow, Kilmer did it. Using smart AI tech, the movie team made his voice work again, letting Kilmer have one last touching moment as Iceman with Tom Cruise. It was a sweet way to honor his story, showing that even with tough times, he still had a place in Hollywood. But away from the cameras, Kilmer's health kept getting worse. He didn't show up in public much anymore. His fight, once kept secret, became a sign of how strong he was. Fans everywhere kept hoping he'd get better, wishing for a miracle. Sadly, even the toughest fighters can only take so much. Kilmer's last years were full of looking back, love, and the hard truth that his time was running out. What happened in those final moments? How did his family handle it? And what have other famous people said about him? This is where the story gets really emotional. As Val Kilmer's health got worse, the people closest to him knew time was almost up. His unbeatable spirit, the thing that made him special on and off screen, stayed strong in his heart, but weak in his body. Even though he'd battled his sickness hard for years, there came a time when even the bravest people have to stop fighting. In his last days, Kilmer was with the people who meant the most to him. His kids, friends, and a few close work buddies who'd been there through good and bad. His son Jack and daughter Mercedes stayed by his side every step, giving love and help as they watched their dad deal with his tough situation. Jack Kilmer, who became an actor like his dad, really looked up to him. Though he loved his dad's career, what he admired most was how Val faced his sickness with pride and steady faith. Jack often talked about how his dad wouldn't let cancer take away who he was. He stayed excited about stories, movies, and art, just like when he was younger. Mercedes, his daughter, was always there for him, sharing sweet words about how tough her dad was and the lessons he taught her. She once said how Val told them, "Don't think about what you've lost. Think about what you can still do." Those words stuck with her as she got ready to say goodbye. Even with all the sadness around them, the Kilmer family chose to focus on love instead of pain. His best friends came by talking about his greatest roles, his funny side, and how much he loved his work. In the calm of his home, surrounded by love, Val Kilmer spent his final moments peacefully. He'd given the world his talent, his energy, and his heart, and now he was ready to rest. The news of Val Kilmer's death at 65 hit Hollywood and the world hard. Social media filled up with messages from other actors, directors, and fans who'd been touched by his work. Tom Cruise, his longtime friend and Top Gun co-star, shared a sad message, calling Kilmer one of the best actors I ever worked with. Cruise said how lucky he felt to do one last scene with Kilmer in Top Gun. Maverick, a moment that means even more now. Robert Downey Jr., who acted with Kilmer in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, wrote, "Val was a big deal. His humor, his strength, his kindness, he was special. We lost a legend today." Even people who never met Kilmer felt the loss. Fans went online to share their favorite parts from his movies, from his awesome role as Jim Morrison in The Doors to his cool Doc Holliday in Tombstone. The line, "I'm your Huckleberry," was everywhere as fans honored one of the best movie moments ever. Kilmer's funeral was a private, emotional day in a peaceful place. Close family, lifelong friends, and a few work friends who'd shared big times with him were there. Unlike the fancy Hollywood parties he used to go to, this was small and personal, just how he'd have liked it. His kids gave touching speeches, sharing stories that showed Kilmer as more than an actor, but as a dad, a guide, and a friend. Jack talked about how his dad always believed in him, while Mercedes shared the strength and toughness she learned from watching him fight his sickness. Flowers were put on his casket, and as the day ended, they did one last tribute. A video of Kilmer's best roles played on a big screen, reminding everyone of the amazing story he left behind. His voice, now saved in movies forever, filled the room, strong, deep, and unforgettable. But beyond Hollywood, beyond the fame and roles that made him a legend, Val Kilmer's real story lives on in the hearts of those who loved him. His life was about winning, hurting, staying strong, and in the end, love. And even though he's gone, he'll always be here. But what's next? How will the world keep celebrating Val Kilmer's story? And what have his actor friends and directors said about how he changed movies? This is where the tributes keep coming. The second news of Val Kilmer's death got out, tons of tributes poured onto social media, news shows and TV all over the world. It felt like the whole movie world stopped to honor one of its biggest stars. Fans, actors, and movie makers who'd worked with Kilmer over the years all went to different places online to share their sadness, their respect, and their favorite memories of the amazing actor. One of the saddest tributes came from Tom Cruise, Kilmer's Top Gun co-star. The two had a fun rivalry on screen in the 1986 movie, but off-screen they really respected each other. Their reunion in Top Gun, Maverick, was a special moment for them and for fans who'd grown up watching them. Cruise wrote a message soon after Kilmer died saying, "I'm heartbroken." Val was more than just a co-star. He was a brother. Working with him in Top Gun was one of the best times of my career, and getting to team up again for Maverick was a gift I'll always treasure. He was a fighter, an artist, and a true legend. Fly high, my friend. You'll never be forgotten. Besides his words, Cruise was one of the first to call Kilmer's family, offering comfort and help however he could. Another sweet tribute came from Robert Downey Jr., who acted with Kilmer in the fun movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That film was one of Kilmer's later roles, but it showed his talent never went away, no matter how much time passed. Downey Jr. posted a picture of them on set on Instagram, writing, "Val was one of a kind. His energy on screen was electric. He could make you laugh, make you cry, and make you believe every character he played. Working with him was a privilege, and I'll miss him a lot." Fans left thousands of comments agreeing with him, all remembering Kilmer's awesome work. Kevin Bacon, who was in The Saint with Kilmer, said he was sad, writing, "Val was one of the most hard-working actors I've ever worked with. He loved his job, and it showed in every role. He'll be missed a lot." Actress Angelina Jolie, who'd always liked Kilmer's work, shared a nice message saying, "Val Kilmer was a real artist. He gave everything to his roles, and he inspired so many of us to do the same. The world lost a legend, but his art will live on forever. Lots of other famous people like Kurt Russell, Michael Douglas, and directors like Ron Howard and Oliver Stone said similar things. Outside Hollywood, Kilmer's fans made their own tributes online. Hashtags like #RCP Val Kilmer and I'm Your Huckleberry were everywhere for days as people shared their favorite movie scenes, times they met him, and what his work meant to them. One fan tweeted, "I grew up watching Val Kilmer, Batman Forever, The Doors, Willow. He was part of my childhood. This one hurts. Rest in peace, legend." Another wrote, "Val Kilmer wasn't just an actor. He was an experience. Every time he was on screen, he gave us something unforgettable. We lost a great one today." Lots of fans also watched his old interviews and behind-the-scenes videos again, enjoying the humor, charm, and realness that made Kilmer so loved. As people keep talking about Kilmer's story, some think the Academy Awards might do a special part for him, since he had such a long and great career. Many say a video of his best roles should be in next year's show. Movie makers who worked with Kilmer over the years have even talked about making a full movie about his life, showing how he became a star, his struggles, and the huge mark he left on movies. One thing's for sure, Val Kilmer's story won't fade away. His work, his passion, and his spirit will live on in all the roles he left behind. But how will his family keep honoring him in the days ahead? And what plans are there for a big public goodbye? Losing someone you love hurts a lot, and for Val Kilmer's family, the sadness is deep. His death has left an empty space that's hard to describe. Behind all the Hollywood shine, Kilmer was, most of all, a dad, a brother, and a friend to those closest to him. As the world feels the loss of an acting star, his family is coming together to remember the man away from the cameras, the loving dad, the caring son, and the passionate artist who kept going until his very last breath. Val Kilmer was more than just an actor. He was a dad to 2 kids, Jack and Mercedes Kilmer, who he loved so much. Even though his throat cancer made talking hard in his later years, Kilmer never let it stop him from being close to his kids. Their connection stayed strong, showing how much he cared for them. Jack Kilmer, who became an actor like his dad, went online to share his sadness and thanks. In a touching Instagram post, he put up a childhood photo of himself on his dad's lap, with the words, "That word truly meant you taught me everything about love, about passion, about never giving up, no matter how hard it got. The world saw a movie star, but I saw my best friend. I'll miss you every day of my life." Mercedes Kilmer, his daughter, also shared a sweet tribute, posting pictures of their years together. Times full of laughs, adventures, and a clear dad-daughter love. She wrote, "No words can describe the loss I feel. My dad was a warrior, an artist, and the most loving dad I could have ever wanted. He fought so hard, and now he can finally rest. I love you forever, Dad." Their words touched thousands of fans, reminding everyone that, behind the fame, Val Kilmer was a guy deeply loved by his family. While the world has seen the big tributes, Kilmer's family is also feeling the quiet, personal sadness of losing someone so special. People close to the family say his last days were spent with love all around, with his closest family there. His brother Mark Kilmer, who'd always cheered him on in his career, shared his hurt in a private note to close friends. "It's hard to picture life without Val. He was more than my brother. He was a big force. He inspired everyone around him, even in his toughest days. He never stopped fighting, never stopped creating. That's the Val I'll always remember." For Kilmer's bigger family, the loss hurts just as much. His sister and old friends from growing up have all shared their sadness, remembering a young Val who was always curious and loved telling stories. People close to the family say Val Kilmer's final days were in a peaceful place, far from Hollywood's noise, with the people he loved most around him. He felt good being with them. His home was warm, soft music played, old movies were on TV, and photos of his best life moments were all over. One family friend shared a sweet detail saying, "In his last days, Val often watched Top Gun and Tombstone. He smiled whenever he saw his younger self on screen. It was like he was living those times again, finding happiness in the art that shaped his life. They also said that, in his final moments, Kilmer whispered a few last words to his kids, something private just for them, but words they'll hold in their hearts forever. As his family gets ready to say their last goodbyes, they've promised to honor him in a way that really shows who he was, a celebration of his life, his work, and the love he left behind. With Val Kilmer's death, his family is now planning a private memorial service, where close friends, family, and a few work friends will come together to celebrate his life. The details are private, but people say it'll be very personal, full of stories, laughs, and thoughts about the amazing life he lived. Jack and Mercedes Kilmer have also talked about a public tribute,